Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast and pro wrestling that we bring you each and every week.
Pew, 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 pew,
On
pew,
the
pew,
Thursday
pew, pew.
show, my crazy host over there, the Dazzler Darren. How are we?
Well, good, pal. How are you? Was
Good.
not rain today. How good was that?
Yeah, no, I'm very good today.
Yeah.
Looking a little bit darker as well. I don't know whether you noticed, just a
Are
tad
you?
bit
Yeah.
darker. Yeah,
Just a little bit darker there.
apparently it takes 3 goals to really cement it in, but it's not too bad for a first shot.
It's all right. We're getting closer.
That's it.
I
Yeah.
might give it a bash myself.
Batch the beach.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get down to
Is
business
it NWO
tonight.
Hogan?
Yeah, absolutely. Get that Steiner strip in there as well.
Yeah, you.
Tonight we have a football show, Darren. Back to the football from the pro wrestling. So we're going to be talking about all the transfer business that the Premier League has done. We'll skip across a lot of it. Some we'll get into deep conversation about, no doubt. As we did last night on the drive time home. I vented
Sure
for about
did.
a half an
There
hour
was
in M50 traffic.
I was going to say there was a bit of venting there, wasn't there?
And there'll be a bit of venting tonight. Don't worry about that.
I walked into the house while I was on the phone to you, I had you in the earpods, And I walked into the house and Rosanna was sitting down. She was having her dinner with the kids and stuff. And my dinner was on the table ready for me, as any good wife would do. And she says, Jesus, he's on a bit of a mad one, isn't he? And I was like, yeah, he is, yeah. And she was like, what's that all about? And I says, it's just, being a football fan. Like, it kind of comes as par for the course these days with every club almost,
I assumed you had taken the AirPods out and sat them down and left them there having their dinner and just let me
Not
rant
at
on
all.
for about half an hour. But yeah, this is next Thursday, Darren. Thursday Tier Talk returns with our Premier League preview and our Beat the Bookie.
Beat the Bookie!
We'll be back. But that will be our last live show for about 2 weeks because we're both going on our Holly Pops. So there won't be any live shows, but I will be putting up downloads and videos and all that kind of stuff. Just a big shout out to everyone who's been supporting the channel over the last 2 years on this journey. Today, we passed 1,000 subscribers. Finally.
Wow.
So there you go. So that's a kind of a milestone for us as well. So we're very happy.
Sure is.
Well. So thank you to everyone for the support. Thank to everyone who gets into the chat and who is
100%.
All that kind of good stuff. It's been quite a journey, but also quite a slog, but we got there anyway. So as I said, tonight we're going to be talking about transfers and transfer business, what's being done in the Premier League. We'll scout through some of the teams because no doubt there's loads of names in there we will not recognise because a lot of loan books and a lot of academies have been clearing the decks a bit.
And also it's something you realise, and something I've been noticing as I've been watching the Women's World Cup as well. The big football strongholds and power holes are being challenged these days. Brazil knocked out in the group stages. France were under pressure at one stage. Germany went out today. Like a lot of big teams going out to smaller nations. South Africa obviously doing very well, and Jamaica and stuff like that. And I think when you go on to the men's side, you start seeing that there's a much better sprinkling of talent country to country. It's not necessarily they're all Brazilian boys, which for years it was like, get a couple of Brazilians, the job's a good one. I think now, you're hearing of players for the first time and they're coming into Premier League teams and squads and they're doing phenomenal jobs right off the bat, which is, it's a credit to them and obviously to the scouting networks that are picking these players up as well,
Am I right in thinking yesterday as well, the US team, the holders, scraped through yesterday? Portugal hit the bar and could have put them out.
They hit the post in added time.
Seen that,
really tough.
I seen the Portuguese girl being interviewed after, and she was in tears. She was so emotional, but it was great because it meant so much to them.
100%. If it doesn't mean anything to you, it's not going to show. She did everything right. Like her first touch was really good, set the ball up for herself, and she struck the ball as well as she could have struck it, and it just square hit the post and came straight back out. Now you're talking, depending on the angle of the post and the spin on the ball, that's 2 inches the wrong side of the goal. If that's 2 inches to the left, that could hit the inside of the post and spin in. Like, it was that close. She did everything right, the poor girl. Everything right.
2 inches can make a huge difference.
Sure can.
Let's get into some comments here. Let's talk. Daz is in there. What's crack? Big up, Niall and Dazzler. How are you,
Hey, Daz, how are you, buddy?
Mate. And Panoff is in. How are you, Panoff? Evening, Niall and Dazzler. All right, Panoff, mate, says him. And congrats on 1,000+ subs. Cheers, Panoff. You're a part of that as well. Subbing to the channel there a while ago. Really
Absolutely.
appreciate everyone's support. So awesome stuff. Did you or Dazzler hear about the new rules, Niall? The new rules.
I saw the new... I saw the list, but I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. These are new rules going into the season for the referees and stuff like that.
Oh, is this the one about the timekeeping and all, is it?
Well, it's one of them. They're talking about 100 minutes being the standard now, week to week.
Happy days. We didn't hear. We weren't too upset about it at the World Cup, were we? So
absolutely
we'd be happy about it. We were calling for it. I'm okay, Panoff, and Daz is in. Panoff, Statman's back, watch-alongs and predictions only for now. That's great to hear, Daz. Great to hear that Stevie's back. He was going to quit. So brilliant to hear he's coming back for the new season. Hate to see people go away like that who are content creators. Right, let's get into this. I think we'll start with Arsenal, as we should.
Yeah, we absolutely should, for lots of reasons.
So we've got 3 in the door so far, and it looks like Ray is going to come through the door as well by the looks of things. So Kai Havertz in 65 million, Declan Rice 105, Yuri and Timber 38 million, and of course Granit Xhaka going out the door, Pablo Mari going out the door, Austin Trusty went out the door the other day on the back of that US tour. Interesting enough. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and just some I'll just highlight, some I'll just brush over because I don't really know them. Ainsley Maitland-Niles released, and that's really it for Arsenal so far. It doesn't sound like they're finished in the window yet. What have you made of it so far? Obviously, Jesus picking up a knee injury again is going to be out till October, we're hearing, which is a big blow for them.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry, you said Gabriel Jesus is out October?
Yeah, Gabriel Jesus, he hurt his knee there last night and he's out. Same as Nkunku, I think, hurt his knee as well. And I think he's going to be out as well. So, yeah.
Means a couple of changes in the fantasy football team.
Absolutely. But give us your thoughts on Arsenal so far.
Yeah, like a little bit mad. I was talking to our friend Morris from GP Productions on this one. And I suppose, like, if we look at the Declan Rice deal, I feel like that's a no-brainer for Arsenal. I feel like Declan Rice is a top signing, and he's a signing that, you know, lays down a marker and says, we're in this, we're going to fight for this title. I think it's a great signing. And to be able to get Rice to decide, you know what, yeah, I'm going to come to Arsenal. I think it's a huge statement of intent by Arsenal. It's a great signing. Similar to Yuri and Timber, I think it's a great signing as well. Obviously, can play at centre back, can play at right back as well, which is kind of similar to Ben White. Can play either inside in the centre back position or outside on the right back position. Gives them another option there as well. I think that the two really, really strange ones for me. I think the Kai Havertz one is very strange. I've said this multiple times. We've spoken about this. I think it's a massive, massive waste of 65 million euro. And I don't say that lightly. You know, I just think, I don't know what he's going to give to Arsenal that they didn't already have, so to speak. I don't know, you know, what role Mikel Arteta is looking to give him. I'm just baffled by the Kai Havertz one. And I've got to be honest, I'm equally as baffled by the David Raya one. If I look at, you know, Ramsdale last season, there was a number of times we called for him to get the England jersey because I thought he was one of Arsenal's best players last season. And then on the back of that, you bring in a guy like David Raya, who, you know, isn't necessarily going to come to Arsenal to play back up to anybody. And I think, you know, by Christmas, Arsenal are going to have one really unhappy goalkeeper. Now, it'll all depend on who plays the games, but it's either going to be Ramsdale or it's going to be Raya. And I think it's going to make a very, very difficult situation for Mikel Arteta. I think, you know, if you keep the boy Turner, he knows he's not playing games. It's different. Whereas I think when you bring in Raya, he's going to expect to play a certain amount of games. And if Arteta can't guarantee him that, there's going to be unrest in that camp, and it's going to make things really, really difficult at Arsenal. So if I'm scoring Arsenal out of 10, it's like a 6.5, 7. You know, two great signings, two signings that you're going to spend the guts of 100 million on Havertz and Raya, and I don't know what you're getting for it. When if you hang on to that 100 million and you throw it at a Kolo Muani, or you throw it at a Victor Osimhen, if you throw it at somebody to try and get the goals in the door that can get you over the line, I think the money's far better spent. I think Arsenal fans will feel that way as well.
Yeah, I think those. I think both those sides, not necessarily Muani, but I think Osimhen. I think he's just priced way out of the market at the moment.
It's Napoli killing the market completely.
Yeah,
but I definitely think. I mean,
what's the last we've seen?
140 or something like that.
140 million euro.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and we know the striker market's a difficult place. We've spoken about it. Like, and again, I spoke to Morris about this. You look around the league. There's options in the league. Yes, they will cost you money, but if you don't spend 100 million on Raya and Havertz, which for me you don't necessarily need, then you can go and maybe look at an Ollie Watkins, which we spoke about, a Callum Wilson, which we spoke about. If you could try and get the boy Alexander Isak out the door at Newcastle, guys like this, maybe a Calvert-Lewin. I know the injuries are an issue there, but we know the kid's a footballer. There's lots of opportunities. I mean, even Arsenal, go and get yourself an Alexander Mitrovic, a guy who's good in the air from set pieces, and a guy who knows when the ball breaks to him, he'll put it away and give yourself an opportunity to go and grab that title. I think this is a huge downfall in Arsenal.
Yeah, I actually watched the Calvin Phillips documentary today on Amazon. I think it is. It's very good, actually. The Road to Manchester City, it's called, or something like that. Really good, good watch. Thinking of the boy now slightly in a different light, to be honest. I was a big, I was quite negative on the lad last year and stuff like that. No, changed my mind a little bit. Acers is in the comments here. Acers is saying Alexis McAllister will be out until the end of October with a knee injury. Haven't seen that anywhere. Let us know where you've seen it. I haven't seen that anywhere today, but let us know. Baz is in. How are you, Barty? Evening, lads. Congrats on the 1,000 plus subs. Yeah,
hey, Barty.
Really appreciate it. Cheers, Baz. And Eno's in. What's the crack? Eno? How are you?
Hey, Ian. How are you, buddy?
Hope you're all good. And Acers, Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland can wait to destroy Arsenal easily on Sunday. I don't know. The Community Shield is always a different kind of thing, isn't it? It doesn't necessarily go with the grain.
Yeah, listen, Pep's not going out there with a full strength team on Sunday. It's guys that need time under their belt and stuff like that. You'll probably see Kovacic brought in to get some minutes and stuff like that. Yeah. They haven't really brought anything else in at the minute. I know they're working on the Vardiol deal, which is a huge deal. I fully expect when he comes in, we'll see the back of Laporte. I don't think Laporte's getting enough game time in there, and I think if you go in with Vardiol and Diaz, and then maybe Stones as your right back and Aki as your left back, you're in a pretty good spot, aren't you?
Yeah, that deal isn't as big as what we thought it was going to be or what was being reported. The talk today is 76 million. Now we know it's huge money.
It's about 78, but it's not what we were. Yeah, it's not the 90 plus we heard.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Leipzig do this. Leipzig talk a huge game and then
it wasn't
the 90, like a cheap hooker after two martinis.
It wasn't the 90 plus that my own club sold us as to why they weren't going ahead with it, put it that way.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that later, of course. But yeah, Community Shield coming up this weekend. That'll be interesting. Well, Aston Villa, Emery, guy we're bigging up all the time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Pau Torres in the door, Moussa Diaby in the door, Rico Richards in the door, Yuri Tillemans in the door.
Yeah.
Doing very good business. Also
Great
interested
business.
in Jeremy Doku as well, might be coming in as well. Quite an exciting player as well. Left the building. Ashley Young to Everton on a free. The boy we spoke about last year, Marvellous, is on the way out to Luton, undisclosed.
He was on loan there. He was on loan there last season. He's moved for about 2.5 up to 3, but he'll do an okay job for Luton. But he's never getting into that Villa team. Yeah,
there's not a huge else out there. I don't know if there's anyone else sticks out to you that you can see in that list there. I mean,
the standout for me is the boy Diaby. This kid's an absolute baller.
Yeah,
he scored in his first 2 games. Was at Leverkusen for a number of years. He's obviously a French international. He's fairly close to that French starting 11 a lot of the time. And if he's not there, he's one of the first 2 or 3 off the bench. So he's a really, really good footballer. Likes to play down the right-hand side and nip back onto the left side. Very clever. Creates, stretches the game, will help Villa play on the break with Ollie Watkins and stuff like that. And I think if they manage to get the boy Doku in on the opposite side, and you've got Doku, Diaby, Watkins, you've backed up with Trey in the middle, you've got Pau making things nice and solid at the back, and you've got the keeper Martinez. I think that's phenomenal from Aston Villa. Really, really is. We know the boy Jacob Ramsey has come through last season. You've got McGinn, you've got Tielemans coming in, you got Douglas Luiz, the boy Kamara, very, very good. Starting to put a great project together at Aston Villa with Unai Emery at the helm there.
Yeah, absolutely. Aces in Villa will be dark horses for Europa League conference.
I think that's a decent shout.
They're going to be dark horses for probably a lot more than that.
I think that's a decent shout on the back of Emery's track record in that league. I think it's a great shout.
And then great results on yesterday's match. We're going to take a look as well. I got one of those predictor tables out from one of these AI systems or whatever it is, where they predict the Premier League. So we'll take a look at the end. But next week, of course, we will be doing our own predictions as well as part of the show. We'll probably do top 6, top 7, whatever it's going to work out.
We'll do top 6.
Place. Probably with the extra place.
We'll do top 7
and then bottom 3. Yeah, absolutely. What we usually do, and then we revisit that. Bournemouth. Not a huge amount to talk about there, really, is there?
No, and I suppose with how Bournemouth did last season, if they can bring their form into this season under Gary O'Neill, the form that they had under Gary O'Neill, obviously, we've a new manager coming in and stuff like that. So if they can keep that form, and if they can, get a little bit more out of those new signings, Bournemouth could be a little dark horse, that type of a Brentford, Brighton side where they're just starting to put things together and slowly creeping up that table. The project that they're creating there, it's very good.
Yeah. Brentford. I mean, obviously the big talking point is Tony isn't going to be available till I think January, is it the New Year, as far as I know, is it around that time? So, but they have brought in nice tidy little business there. Nathan Collins coming in for 23 million is a nice tidy little bit of business there. Yeah. A man I'm sure that you're fond of because you loved his dad, Romeo Beckham, is in there. Undisclosed Inter Miami. But they brought in Mark Flecken as well from Freiburg for 11 million as well, and Kevin Schade for 20 million.
So Schade was on loan there from January and played a number of games, looked very, very good at times. I suppose the extra little bit of time over the summer to kind of get a little bit used to the squad and the way the manager wants him to do things. And I think obviously knowing you're going to play a lot more will make life a bit easier. I think this kid could do very, very well because he'll probably play from the right-hand side, and we might see Visa tuck into that Tony position. Generally, not Visa, and Mbeumo. And Mbeumo was playing on the right-hand side. And what happened was Tony would play through the middle. I think now Mbeumo may end up going into the central position, which will leave the boy Schade on the wing. And he looked a good prospect, I have to say. And the boy Flecken obviously taken over from one David Raya and done all right at Freiburg last season. They had a good season, and they're, I think it's another solid signing from Brentford again.
Yeah. Brighton. I want to get your thoughts on Brighton here. First of all, before we get into it, we must say, how do you feel? Is Caicedo going to leave the building, or is he going to stay?
I think he'll leave.
You think he'll leave? So let's go with the premise that he'll leave, okay? Mm-hmm. Are Brighton, let's say, we know they've brought in a couple of tidy players that have come in potentially as replacements that could hit the ground for the likes of Caicedo and Alexis McAllister and stuff like that. But they're two huge players to take out of your team.
Huge.
Is Brighton in danger of doing a Southampton? Or have they a little bit much of? I know they've Evan Ferguson up front and Matoma.
I think obviously they are the two biggest players Brighton have. You have Alexis McAllister, World Cup winner, and he's the boy Caicedo, who I didn't see him play a bad game last season. I really didn't. He was one of those guys that just rocked up every week, 7, 8 out of 10, 7, 8 out of 10. Whether he played centre back or centre midfield or right back, just did a job. We watched him in the game on the way home from from Cardiff when we watched watched them in the Brighton game on the way home against Arsenal on the boat. Remember, I was talking to you and I was saying we had sat there and watched United Arsenal, and obviously United beat Arsenal, and then Brighton pop up as well. He played right back that day. I says, "Oh, Arsenal must have a chance going down that side." No, he was unbelievable. Kept tucking inside, giving an extra man in the middle. Was very, very good. I think Brighton would do very well to hang on to Caicedo. I think he's extremely good. I really, really do. I think he will be a massive signing for the likes of Chelsea if they could make it. That's where I think he's going to end up. I don't see him ending up anywhere else. I think eventually Chelsea are going to pay something close to what Brighton want. Brighton will need to reinvest money before the end of this window. We obviously know what they've got kind of going up front and stuff like that. They've got the boy Solly Marsh, they've got Ferguson, they've got Matoma, they've got the boy Enciso, they've got Buonanotte, the lad that came on and got the goal last week against Brentford was good. He's a returning sign, and I think it's Derling or something like this. But in the middle, they will be light. Now, obviously, you've got Lallana, you've got Milner, who will add a little bit of experience, but they will need legs in there. They will need legs in there. They bought Mahmoud Dahoud from Borussia Dortmund. Very, very good player, but he's not at the level of a McAllister and a Caicedo. Again, another addition to the top end of the pitch, the boy João Pedro. Now, I spoke about this kid 18 months ago maybe and said this guy is going to be a footballer. He's got his move from Watford. Really, really good. Can't wait to see the dynamic between him and an Evan Ferguson, where one's a bigger guy, might hold the ball up, play it round the corner. You've got Pedro tucking in, getting control of the ball. I think he'll do very well as well this season. And they've paid enough money from that. He has to play games. Brighton aren't going to sign lads for 30 to 35 million and bench them. So this kid's going to play as well, if you're wondering about it. And I suppose that the midfield then has to be addressed. I do think they need bodies. I don't know where they'll go from a point of view as if Caicedo leaves. I don't know where they'll throw money at it. There is good midfielders scattered around Europe, but the way Brighton do a lot of their scouting, the network seems to be a little bit further afield. It comes from South America quite often. Do they end up being interested in somebody like an Andre, who Liverpool are being linked with, because he fits that kind of a central defensive midfielder mould, and we know if they've got cash on the hip.
He's too expensive for Brighton. They only spent 5 million on those players. That's
I don't policy. Know. If they've got the money there to invest, I think Bloom will be happy enough to throw a few quid at it.
I think Bloom loves raking it in, doesn't necessarily like pushing it back out. He likes. I get feelings that Tony Bloom sits in his office like that with just money counters. Those money counters counting the notes, and he doesn't like to push them back out there. I
stumped up a few quid for the boy Pedro now.
He did, but that's not the norm. We
know but I mean, he's obviously invested at a level where he was comfortable, and now what he sells and makes from that, he can then reinvest it again. So maybe you're signing step up a little bit. Yeah. We did talk about this and about having a little bit of a push and saying, right, we were dealing at this table. We took a certain amount of money in. Let's deal a little bit higher up the deck and see what we can end up there. Do we then turn 15 to 20 million pound players into 60 to 100 million pound? Possibly. Possibly.
They're doing a good job at the moment turning 3 and 5 million pound players.
Sure are.
The 60 million
they
pound
sure
players.
Are. What did they pay for McAllister? Was it 8?
I think it was something like that, yeah. And I think Caicedo
8 from McAllister and Caicedo was
5 or something.
5. 13 million between the pair of them, and they're gonna run you close to 130 million.
Yeah, and I can imagine on the release clause on McAllister are bitter as hell, because he should have been a 70 million quid player, shouldn't he? Really, realistically,
minimum 60, absolutely, minimum 60.
Absolutely, yeah. Acer's a Messi killing it in the MLS. He absolutely is. Thanks for all your efforts. What's the story, Darren? Kenny's in. Big up Kenny. Brighton's recruitment has been stellar. Absolutely. Still have a lot of quality there, like
Estepinian
and March. Yeah, and March. Absolutely.
Luke Dunk at the back. They've got the boy Jason Steele, and they just bought the boy Verbruggen, goalkeeper. Mark Verbruggen, who are heavily linked with, seems to be a really good sort as well. A young Dutch keeper.
Yeah, absolutely. So where are we? Burnley. James Trafford coming in, the goalkeeper off Man City, coming in on the back of a brilliant performance in the
20
under
million.
21 championships. 19 million there, yeah, 19 million.
And a kid that never played a minute in the Premier League. He was on loan at Bolton last year in League One. Now, can someone just do me a favour? And can someone tell me how Manchester City could sell an academy graduate who's been on loan at Bolton for a season for 19 million, having not played a game? Someone tell me that, because that is phenomenal business.
Have you looked at the business they've done with their academy players this window?
The boy Borges is on the way to Ajax. He's going to pull in close to 20 as well. Yeah. You look at Lavia last season, went to Southampton, more money. There was another lad went to Southampton as well.
I think there's four this window quite like that. There's four this window.
It's phenomenal. Now you can talk as much as you want about the oil money at Manchester City and stuff like that. Manchester City, other than not having any fans in the building, is an extremely well-run club. Extremely well-run. Obviously Guardiola's in there. The recruitment is phenomenal. The guys that they're taking in at a younger age and that they're building profiles of, that some of the top clubs across Europe are coming to take players from their academy rather than the opposite way round. And City are able to then balance the books that way. They're going to probably take in somewhere between 50 and 100 million on academy graduates this summer alone, which then allows them to go and pay for a boy Vardiol who goes straight into your starting 11. Yeah. Super business. Super.
Yeah. Ted's in. How are you, Ted? Make sure you check out Ted's channels as well. You have to wonder why these teams like Brighton scouting systems are so much better than the top teams.
I don't think it's... Yeah, I don't want to cut across you there, Noel. I don't think it's that they're better. I think a lot of this rests with Tony Bloom, because we know Tony Bloom's a horseman, and he's a little bit of a gambler. Now, Bloom is taking calculated gambles, because don't forget, the first team to be linked with Caicedo was Man United, because he's an Ecuadorian international, and we were put onto him by Antonio Valencia. And we were told, sign this kid. And it was 3.5 million. It was going to 5. And we didn't stump up 5 million because he was too much of a risk. Brighton took that risk. Job done.
Yeah.
These guys are on the scout networks of all the top clubs. But some clubs are more willing than others to press the button. And that's the thing for me.
Yeah. I suppose with the bigger teams, if you like, or the traditional top six or whatever way you want to look at it, they kind of to their detriment sometimes look down their nose at that type of thing, and they, like when you think about us signing Andy Robinson even from Hull and how it worked out and all and stuff like that, it's not very much the norm and stuff like that, and they get so much heat over signing players stuff like that. But also, it's encouraging to hear that from you, because my first thoughts thinking when Ted put up that comment was, if Man United go for that boy, he's not 5 million. But you're saying he was available, you just didn't take
we were linked with him for 3.5 to 5, something like that, and we didn't do the deal. And a couple of weeks later, Brighton nipped in, took the kid, and Valencia was like, lads, you've missed the boat here, and it's absolutely worked out that way, 100%. The other thing I will say is, when you're a bigger team like a United, like a Liverpool, like an Arsenal, say, a lot more of those signings have to be hits than misses, because they don't necessarily have time to bring lads up to speed, so to speak, which is something Brighton have done very well. Like, Brighton have brought lads in and slow played them, put them into the training system, got them up to a certain speed. When we see a player come in at United or at Arsenal or at Liverpool, we want to see them. Fans want to see them. They want to know what they can do. We just spent 15, 20 million on this kid. What's he doing? He hasn't played a game. All of a sudden, the fans get on the club's back and stuff like that. Whereas at Brighton, that doesn't happen. They go, no, they're obviously getting up to speed. They're giving him more time. They get him games here. They send him on a loan. He comes back. The kid that scored the goal the other night in the Premier League trophy was on loan last season somewhere in Europe. Comes back, plays obviously in the summer series, gets a goal, and more than likely now he's going to be pretty close to the first team week to week at Brighton. It's the opportunities are there for people, but you have to take them. And Bloom is taking them, and he's risking, and he's playing a little soft gamble at times, but they're working out for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Morris in the chat. Evening hunks, just home from work. Any strikers on the go? Big up to Morris as well. Morris celebrated 1 million views the other
That's
night as
right.
well on
Yeah.
his channel. Absolutely phenomenal.
A week
Folks,
of
make sure to get
milestones
over
for the
there.
channels, Niall.
Really is, absolutely. Acers, of course, will share your sentiment. Darren, looking forward to watching Championship tomorrow night.
I love the Championship. I absolutely love it.
How's it going, Barry? And what's the story, Morris? That's good. Burnley, I think we'll be looking at Burnley this season as well, both of us. Aren't we? Darragh O'Shea going in there, and Michael
Yeah,
Obafemi and all. There's a nice little Irish flavour going in
there
there as
is.
well.
And listen, the other thing that's going to make you watch Burnley is they play unbelievable football. Vincent Kompany had them very, very well tuned in the Champions League. In the Championship. I heard him on Sky last night. He was having an interview and he said, they were talking about him playing Manchester City. And he goes, if I'm honest, I want to play Man City week in, week out. He said, because we might not win a lot of games, but we certainly get better and we learn. I just thought it's a great attitude to have. He doesn't want the easy pickings. He wants to learn. He wants his team to learn. Because I believe he understands that his guys are probably better than, they've shown so far. And I think as Irish lads, there is a few boys gone in there. The boy Josh Cullen as well. Very, very good footballer. Dying to see how he does in the Premier League. Was super. I think he was in the Championship team of the season last season. He was phenomenal for Burnley. The way he just came, took the ball out from the back four, popped it in, popped it out, received it, played a little quarterback position. It was really, really good. The one thing Burnley are going to miss, and we spoke about him a couple of times last season, I think we had him in bets and stuff, was the boy Nathan Tella. So he was a Southampton player, and he was on loan at Burnley, and he scored a bag full of goals at Burnley, an absolute bag full. And they haven't been able to nail him down yet, or nail Southampton down to some sort of a fee and a structure and whatever. I don't know if he's going to end up staying at Southampton or how it's going to work. I imagine Burnley want this kid back because he worked very well in their system and he did an awful lot of the things that Vincent Kompany asked of him. So that's going to be one to watch before the end of the window as well. Can they get Nathan Tella back?
I'm quite excited to see what effect it's going to have on the Ireland team as well. These players stepping up into the Premier League at a higher level of play. Hopefully it reaps rewards as well for the Irish team, because we know when we were quite at our best, we had a nice sprinkling of Premier League players in there as well. So
we should mention before Morris does in the chat that if these lads are getting, the sort of game time that we're looking for in the Premier League, Obafemi's, Cullens, and there's talk of the boy Obama Diele from Norwich even being shipped in as well. Collins, a lot of these guys starting to play week to week in the Premier League. We may need to look at the managerial position.
Yeah, I think
because
we
may have had, Kenny who's brought them to a certain level and blooded a lot of these guys. And I spoke about this before. I think that Kenny was the right man for the job at the time, where he was blooding youth. That there was no huge pressure on him because he didn't have a huge portfolio behind him. We weren't paying him mad money, nothing like that. He was on, okay money, but he wasn't on anything special. If we now go to look and get somebody at a higher level, and you give him these players now who have international experience and who are gaining week to week Premier League and Championship experience, I think it puts us in a much better place going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Ted's in. I do get that they have to hit the ground running more at the big clubs, but you'd nearly be better off buying them and loaning them out. And I think that sometimes it's what they do, but sometimes you just miss the boat on some of them, really,
Yeah.
Acers is in. The Burnley documentary on Sky at the moment is definitely a watch. Absolutely, we will check that out. Like I said, I checked out Calvin Phillips one today, and it was really good. Morris is in. Anyone know if Ogbenny is going to play? I'd imagine so. Where did he go? To Luton, is it?
Luton, yeah.
Yeah. He'll 100% play. 100%.
I don't think it's a given. Certainly not out the door, out the gates, because obviously the team that brought him up, a lot of those guys are still there. I think he'll be involved, and I think as the season goes on, he'll play more and more. He runs the channels very, very well, holds the ball up, high energy, can finish, does it all, the kid. But I don't know whether we'll see him as much in the first couple of weeks. He might be a slow play if you're fancy football, Morris, if that's what you're thinking.
Interesting though, because he certainly fits the profile, don't they? Big, strong, powerful
physical
kind of team. They are
absolutely.
Physical,
Yeah.
Let's talk our favourite team from last season, Chelsea. Share your thoughts on this.
Yeah, like, I don't know. You're looking at this list and you're like, it's. Do you want to go through some of the names there just for the listeners and the viewers? It's
Yeah, well, we talk in was Nicholas Jackson, of course. Christopher Nkunku, who we know now has a knee issue. I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but it's
yeah,
30 million for Nicholas Jackson. He's looked really good since he came in.
very, very good.
Very, 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 very good.
Finished the season like an absolute train at Villarreal last season. Got 10 and 11 in his last. Sorry, 10 in his last 11 games. He's a big physical striker, holds the ball up, but also runs the channel very well, and can finish, which Chelsea struggled with last season.
Yeah, and we also know that their Brighton relationship isn't too fractured because they bring in Sanchez today for
20 moving to 25.
20 plus 5 or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's a great sign for Chelsea. We spoke about this kid last year, how often before De Zerbi took him out for the passing issue.
Question for you. We know how far they were behind last season. And last season was just a crazy, crazy season for Chelsea. And we know the ability of Chelsea to bounce back from a poor season like that. Yeah. They've done it before. Suppose they get Caicedo in.
Yeah.
What you're thinking on them? Are they set or are they still short?
Still short. They still need more goals. Especially when you look at it on the face of it and you talk, maybe Nkunku being out for a couple of months. Then he's got to get his fitness back and find his form in the league. He's obviously played very, very well in the pre-season and stuff, but we know pre-season is different because of the intensity levels and stuff like that. Yeah. I think he's a fabulous footballer, by the way, and I don't think he'll struggle at all, but I just think you're 2 to 3 months into the league season before you're seeing the best of him. That's tough. That's, September, October, possibly November time.
So the dog could have bolted the trap already.
Right, so it can be difficult. I do think they need reinforcements in midfield, and I think they need a goal scorer. They're heavily linked with Caicedo. Be a phenomenal signing for them. Would allow him to anchor the midfield and would allow Enzo to do a little more further and be that box to box. And I think if they could get rid of Lukaku and get the boy Vlahovic in some sort of a trade deal, I think that would be more super business. I am expecting probably more than most from Chelsea because I do think they underperformed massively last season. I do think there was a little bit of a cloud over the club with the takeover, with Bowley coming in, with the way the spending went and stuff like that. I think Pochettino was going to bring a lot to Chelsea this year. He's going to bring a lot of stability. I think we're going to see him a lot more as a manager rather than just a coach. And I think he's going to get a lot of those guys back on side and back playing. Like we know when we talked about the squad at the end of the season, there's huge ability in that Chelsea squad, and most positions there's 2 or 3 lads looking to get in. So there's competition and stuff like that. There's quality in areas. There's a little bit of balancing needs to happen. I see the Sanchez I see the Sanchez boy is really a huge step forward. I think if I'm a Chelsea fan, I don't want to see Kepa or Mendy starting the first game of the season. I think that's a bad sign for me.
Mendy's gone, isn't he?
Well, yeah, he is gone. Like I don't, but Kepa obviously, I personally don't want to see him. I think if I'm a Chelsea fan, I want him parked. We've had too many issues with him. I want the boy Sanchez to come in, and I want to try and get Chilwell and Reece James back fit and firing. I want to have Malo Gusto and Cucurella there as understudies or to roll in and roll out because Chelsea attack that way. So you need fullbacks who have high energy levels. You're looking at 60 minutes week to week. Guys are going to be coming out, putting fresh lads in to keep those energy levels going. So it'll be Chilwell to start, Cucurella to come on, vice versa. Same on the opposite side. James Gusto. They've got good centre-backs. I know the boy Disasi is on the way in the door. He was somebody heavily linked with Man United. Really good kid. Very similar sort of player to the boy Badiashile. So big, physical, Premier League. He won't struggle to the Premier League at all. He's quick, and obviously the Fofana injury is difficult. Enzo's in there. If you can put Caicedo in and Nkunku, Jackson, Mudryk, who started to look like a real player again in pre-season. There's lots to like at Chelsea. I wouldn't at all.
Who's the young lad on the right up front as well? Mudeki, isn't it?
Noni Madueke. Yes.
Madueke, yeah. He's a talented boy.
a little bit of a rogue. I think Pochettino's going to have to kind of grab him and say, love what you do, but I need you to do certain things as well.
Sure. Listen, all 25 of them last season were fucking rogues. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but no, but like he doesn't. Like he's kind of at times a kid where gets the ball at his feet, puts the head down and goes, and doesn't see enough around him.
Needs a bit of guidance.
Just a little. I won't be shocked to see Chelsea challenging that top four. I got to be honest.
Really interesting.
Yeah, I won't.
Do we need to go down the list? Ted's in there. Just remember the last O'Shea to play in the Premier League was an absolute star. Nutmeg King.
Sure was.
Absolutely. Baz, all good in. Question for you both and chat. Where do you both think Chelsea need next?
They need a centre midfielder and a striker.
Yeah,
I think the boy Caicedo and the boy Vlahovic would be huge.
Morris is not convinced on a trophy. Poch will win a trophy there or not.
They'll win one. They'll win one before Spurs do.
Yeah, here's an interesting one. The outs: Kai Havertz, Mateo Kovacic, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Mason Mount. This reads like a Premier League 11. Christian Pulisic, Ethan Ampadu, Koulibaly, Mendy, Abu, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Cesar Azpilicueta, N'Golo Kante. How far down do I need to go on this? This is Bakayoko was gone.
But did really
Fofana.
Good business getting rid of a lot of those guys for good money.
Saudi Arabia right on cue, didn't it?
Recouped, did they recoup 250 million?
Easily, sure.
Got to be close.
65, 30, 17, 60 and 18 just from the top five.
That's nearly close to 200.
And then a lot of the ones that have gone to the Saudi League.
Huge wages.
Were undisclosed.
Plus huge wages off the books as well. Aubameyang, Kante, Mount, Havertz. You know,
money. Cesar Azpilicueta, he would have been on decent breaks there so long as well. So,
don't know why he was shy.
Yeah, Palace. Thoughts on Palace? Wilfried Zaha gone to Galatasaray.
Palace are going to struggle. Love Roy Hodgson. Love what he did with Palace last season, obviously, to get him out of jail near the end. Wilfried Zaha is their talisman. Absolutely. Always has been, always will be. He's a huge miss. The boy Eberechi Eze will step up. We've seen it already towards the end of last season. We've seen it in pre-season. This kid's a footballer. And the boy Michael Olise, again, who we thought would step up, now looks like he's stepping closer to the exit doors. Now, if you're telling me of the big three of Olise, Zaha and Eze, that only one of them is left there this season, Palace are going to struggle, because don't forget they struggled for goals last season, and they do most seasons. So with Zaha and Olise leaving the building, that's goals and assists leaving with them. Now, if Palace don't, balance the book slightly, they're going to be in trouble here. And it's not necessarily because they're going to be very leaky at the back, because we know Hodgson is good at that. They'll always be in games. They'll always fight. They're going to be short of goals. He needs a goal scorer, and he needs some providers from those wings.
Yeah,
I don't know where he's going to get them yet.
The draws can kill them, can't they? The draws kill them, don't they?
I don't know where he's going to get them from, but he needs to start looking at that really soon.
Yeah, Ted's in on the extra time situation. Yeah, we spoke about it earlier, Ted. I think, do you know what it is? It's a combination of, I think, it worked really, really well in the World Cup.
Yeah.
It was also quite exciting as well. But what it does is, it stops certain teams taking the piss.
Yeah.
And we seen it last year. We know we're big fans of Newcastle and Eddie Howe and stuff like that, but some of their time wasting last year was absolutely horrendous.
Well, I can't wait to be bringing it into the Champions League so we can fucking slap Simeone across the chops with it, because he's an absolute shite bag, for pardon my French. Like, he just kills the game 40 minutes in, and lads are rolling around on the deck. The goalkeeper taking 20 minutes to take a goal kick. Like, unbelievable shithousery. And we're right to address this, because it's killing the game. Killing the game.
Yeah, Acers is right there. And Kunku, massive loss. Be a massive loss.
Huge.
To the team. Such a talented boy.
Huge.
Still alive and kicking, Barry. Always looking up for the upper tier podcast.
Sure is.
Brian is in looking for refuge. No, I can't move for FSG outstreams. I don't mind if it's your opinion, but it doesn't have to be your entire personality. Absolutely. I had a blowout, Brian. If you weren't in earlier in the show, myself and Darren were talking on the phone on the drive home last night from work.
Yeah.
And I got my venting out then, but we will be talking about Liverpool. But yeah.
Gotta say, Brian, that doesn't only happen at Liverpool. I'm a United fan, and quite regularly I struggle with United fans being anti-Glazer and that becoming their personality. And every time something goes wrong at the club, it's down to the Glazers and not spending money and the stadium's falling down. And you're just like, lads, there's a massive narrative here, and you're falling for it, you know. So I understand that, Brian.
Yeah, spot on, Brian. Newcastle, yeah, that's the one that kicks out. Especially, I think the Newcastle-Arsenal game was a really poor example of that wasting time and stuff like that. No, it was horrible to watch, and that they'll have to fix it now. You know, Everton, I'm not going to dwell on too long. Ashley Young has come in, and Arnott Danjuma. The Danjuma one for me is a very strange one. Now, in fairness, I think.
In what sense?
In sense of going to Everton, that's the last place I would have thought that Danjuma would have ended up.
You see, the thing is, he came into Spurs. Everton were linked with him. Spurs kind of stepped ahead of him in the queue, and he thought, I'll go to Spurs. Spurs are a bigger team. They're in London. I'll get game time. Didn't get a kick. Goes there. Knows Dice likes to play with a big guy in the middle and two smaller guys on the wings. So actually, he fits the profile. And if he can put himself in the shop window again, he can get a bit of a move up the table to a Newcastle, you know, to an Aston Villa, someone like that. So I don't think it's that strange, if I'm honest. But
I'm thinking he must have had 3 or 4 better options than that. And that's not because I'm a Liverpool fan, but if you look at who's left the building, Ellis Sims has left the building. Who else? Tom Davis has left the building. Yerry Mean has left the building.
Where did Sims go?
Sims has gone to Coventry.
So they've used the Victor Gyorkas money from Sporting Lisbon, the 25 million to get Sims. Good boy for Coventry.
Davis is gone. Begovic is gone. Mina's gone. Andros Townsend is gone.
Tom Davis is gone.
Yeah, Tom Davis released.
Was he?
That's strange, isn't it? Yeah. So like, there's a lot of guys there that kind of, you know what I mean. It's just, you know, and then you've got Seamus Coleman potentially coming back.
Going to be another long season for Everton.
It's going to be a tough season for Everton, big time. You know.
Sure is.
Fulham. What's your thoughts on Fulham at the moment? Very fluid at the moment with the Marco Silva situation as well at the helm. But
and then obviously the Mitrovic situation.
Yeah, he ain't playing again by the sounds of things. But they've brought in Jimenez for 5.5 off Wolves and Calvin Bassey off Ajax for 18.
The boy Bassey's a good sign, and he was at Rangers. Obviously, he moved to Ajax last season for big bucks. Don't think it worked out. Ajax is a really poor season, and he took a lot of the brunt of it. Because he was one of the newer signings, let's say. So the Ajax fans were like, well, we were better before you got here. You came, and all of a sudden, you know, things haven't gone well. Bassey's a decent signing. Good, physical, athletic, reads the game pretty well. He'll do well at Fulham. Obviously the goals thing is an issue. They need to address that if Mitrovic leaves the building, because we know Jimenez isn't the guy that he was a couple of years ago. They're heavily linked with Fred from United to tie in with kind of Andros Pereira. And then the other one, which I heard, was they managed to sign Willian up on a deal. And last night, one of the Saudi clubs put money on the table for him. They just signed him on a free. And last night, somebody from Saudi put money on the table for him. And I just thought, what's the chance of this? Like,
oh, I tell you, mad. Brian's in. Danjuma playing up front in pre-season with Dominic Calvert-Lewin out again. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, good lord, just in a small sample size.
Yeah,
it's terrible. Arteta should be gone for Mitrovic.
Mentioned it earlier. I think so.
Jimenez is a massive risk, not the same player, absolutely. And if they think Raul Jimenez is going to replace Alexander Mitrovic's goals, they can forget about that. That ain't going to
He's not just missing half a head, he's missing half the fucking rest of him as a footballer. Because that injury killed the poor lad genuinely as a footballer. He was a super talented boy. You know, and listen, that's not a criticism, by the way. I don't know if I ever go and step on a football pitch again if that's happened to me, because of the worry. So I completely understand that, and I'm very sympathetic to the boy Jimenez. But from a Fulham point of view, you don't replace, one of your biggest players in your team with a guy who, towards the end of the season, couldn't get a kick at a Wolves team that weren't too far away from relegation.
Yeah, he was poor all season as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's been poor since the injury, unfortunately,
Let's move on. Liverpool. Where do I begin with this?
The floor is yours.
The floor is mine. I vented on this yesterday on the way home. Probably for the goods of 20 minutes, half an hour. It did pass.
Sorry, I hope Man United get one like this.
Yeah.
With ins and outs the way Liverpool did. Did they get one or?
No, they didn't. I just had this. I had this from a previous show, so I'm just ripping out old stuff.
Favoritism, right? Okay.
No, it's not favoritism. It's just my disappointment. But it doesn't even tell all the loans that have gone out and stuff like that, which you were quite surprised at yesterday when I spoke to you about it. What's gone out on loan as well is quite a staggering list. But we're nowhere near at the races at the moment. You know what I mean? No. And this is what I was talking about with you yesterday. If you look at this list here, we've saved 52 million in wages, and we've paid out whatever it is. What have we gained? And 53 million has come in transfers. Then if you look at what's come in, 14 million in wages gives us a net gain of 38 million in wages, and the fees that have gone out are minus 42 at the moment. But that's clouded by the fact that the Szoboszlai deal was gone through a third party, and the payments for that don't hit the accounts till next year. So although it's included in these figures here,
the biggest shocks for me about that list, right? And I'm going to be honest now. I know you're going to think I'm having a go here. I'm absolutely not having a go, right?
Feel free to.
Right. Who paid Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain 6.25 million in wages? Who paid him that?
We did.
Right? So you're telling me he was on, now look at the figures, he was on double James Milner's wages.
Yeah.
James Milner available every single week, can play in 14 different positions on the pitch, and will give you every piece of his body and soul. And you have a guy like Ox on 6.25. Lads, stop now.
No. I know.
Stop.
I know. You don't need to. Here, you're preaching to the converted here. You don't need to tell me.
Jordan Henderson, don't 7.3 million for Henderson in wages.
Yeah.
And I like Bobby, but 9.4 million in wages.
Worth every penny.
Whoa!
When you look at
Arthur Mello, 5.7 million in wages.
Don't get me started on him.
Scratcher, man.
Do you know he played 67 minutes for us in total? Don't get me started.
This is fucking bananas.
Do not get me started on this. But this,
word.
Now you can understand my despair of my conversation yesterday. Like when I look at this and the bullshit of the, going in with 39 million down to 41 million for Lavia, taking the piss when we know the concept of the deal and what's in the background and what has to be done. And we're fannying around. We're looking at your man Andre, who's 25 million or whatever it is. We're fannying around. You know what I mean? And now we're talking about going for Frank Kessie. Like I've had 20 it up here.
You paid 25 million in wages, right? For Keita, Chamberlain, Arthur, and Henderson. Four midfielders, yeah. And the first three probably played about 4 games between them all season.
And people wonder why our profits are in the gutter.
Holy shit, man! That's a Twilight Zone moment for me. I got to be honest with you.
I have to take this off the screen now because it just This builds up my anger. You thought I was messing yesterday?
I'm almost crying looking at that. I'm like, I'm a United fan. I shouldn't give a damn about this.
You thought
that should be music to my ears. 25 million for them 4 midfielders, and between them, they didn't kick a ball. Oh my God! Sorry,
Big up Henry, how are you? Big up Darren.
If you call doing what Henderson does, kicking a ball, but it's another story.
Absolutely. I'll just shoot through some of these comments. Ian Kelly is missing in action, folks. He's moving house, Ian.
He's just busy.
Moved into a new house.
Yeah, big shout out to Ian and Rachel. Just moved into their new house down there in in the sunny southeast. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, the sunny southeast, the Garden of
Sunny
Ireland.
southeast, yeah. Big shout out to the guys. Well done. Congratulations, lads.
Yeah. Daz is in. Do you think we still get Lavia at Niall and chat? We definitely get Lavia. And if we don't get Lavia, we should be looking for a new manager.
Got to be honest. Looking at that list, Lavia is a massive upgrade on Arthur, on Ox, and on Keita. Like, I know you spoke about him yesterday when we talked, and you were like, if we're hanging our hopes on this kid Lavia, we could be in trouble. Considering what's just left the building, bringing Lavia in is like bringing a fucking Ferrari to a Fiat garage. You are stepping up.
I was on Twitter yesterday, Darren, and I was asked, what was I asked? Would you bring in Andre? And I said, at this stage, I'd bring in fucking Peter Andre.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Jesus Christ, man.
Brian saying Ox was a joke from day one. His injury record was there for all to see in Arsenal. Yeah, do you know what it is, Brian, though? I think when he came in, he was really, really good. If you go back and you look at that, what was it, the season 18, was it? He was really good that season, and then he got that injury.
But there's no sustainability with him. You know it's all short term, because he had those spurts at Southampton and at Arsenal where he looked like a player, but over the majority of time that he played for Southampton and for Arsenal, the issue was getting on the pitch. So Liverpool knew that. You have to take these things into account now when you're signing players. Like, I don't know who would sign Dominic Calvert-Lewin right now, right? We know the kid's a great footballer, but based on the fact he cannot get on a pitch, who signs him? Do you know?
We've made a career out of it. Do you know what? I could upset you even worse here. You know how much we paid for Ox?
I don't think you could.
Do you know how much we paid Arsenal for
Did you pay like 26 point something million?
40.
40? Fuck off.
As far as I know, it was 40 million. I'll check it out. But the Dominic or Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain of 40 million comes to mind.
No, that couldn't be right.
Look it up if you get a chance, or someone in the chat look it up. What did we pay for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain?
Oh my, 40 million.
And you know the worst about it? We probably paid the add-ons as well, because he did get a Champions League medal, he did get a Premier League medal.
Oh man. Listen, now by the way,
played the add-ons as well.
Sorry, don't forget, we paid 80 for Harry Maguire. So don't forget that, right? We paid 80 for Maguire, so I'm not saying any of us here aren't prone to errors.
Yeah, but Maguire walks across the white line. He puts on the jersey, and
he does. He walks across it, puts the jersey on, and then kicks it to their fucking team.
Remember, I told you about the leaving picture, and they were all presented with the plaques at Anfield.
Yeah,
and you had Keita and Ox in tracksuits, and you had Milner and Bobby Firmino in their jerseys and their shorts. And I said, that exactly describes that situation at Liverpool Football Club. So
you got to feel embarrassed if you're the two boys, don't you?
I don't know, would I? Picking up that wedge. Married to your one out of Little Mix. I ain't getting too upset, am we?
She's not the best. The best one was the chunky one who left first, Jessie. She was great. She was great, man. We like the chunky ones, let's be honest.
Yeah, Brian, definitely getting Lavia, in my opinion, just a matter of
I think so too.
I think it'll happen this week. I think it has to happen. He has to be in there for that last pre-season game, or I'll absolutely hit the roof. I'll hit the roof. Henry, I am 100 good. Excellent. Ted, I'll give it to Henderson. He did a great job of robbing a living.
He absolutely did. And imagine looking at that list, he wasn't the chief protagonist either. Like, in fairness to him, as you said, he was there week in, week out. His limitations are as a footballer are massive, but he was there. He puts in blood, sweat, and tears. You know, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian Waterford. What's that?
No, Wexford.
Wexford.
Eno.
Yeah, Wexford. Yeah, it's actually Wicklow, believe it or not. It's not even Wexford.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's Wicklow. Where was Lavia last year?
He wants to rub into us now that he was out Southampton who got relegated. Come on now, you're better than that, Morris.
This is someone who just dropped 65 million on Kai Havertz.
Kai Havertz, absolutely.
I think
and is
I
about
think
to sign another
I,
keeper to cause an issue.
I,
Whoa.
I would think Lavia, if you're looking at individual performances, was way better than Kai Havertz last season.
Miles.
Just saying that. That's Southampton at Morris. Don't let him really in. Don't let him really in like that. I'm going to skip a couple anyway, right? Let's talk about Man City, and then we'll get to United, of course. Man City, thoughts?
Yeah, Lixon obviously had a terrific squad last season. Have lost a couple. I think the Mahrez is a pretty big loss, if I'm honest. I do think it gets the boy Cole Palmer a little bit of extra time on the pitch. Probably Phil Foden as well, and Julian Alvarez. So it's a little less of a headache for Pep. I think Kovacic will come in and do a good job there, replace Gundogan, so to speak. And then I think, obviously, Vardy coming in at centre-back, 35 million for Oxford. Fucking robbery, man.
I think he's right. I think it was 35 and 5, and I think he secured all the add-ons. That's why I'm thinking. That's why I'm thinking.
That's painful. I have a pain in my stomach listening to that. I'm a United fan. Look at this. Oh, my God. And I think, obviously, the boy Vardy is going to come in and kind of make that centre-back spot his own with... along with Ruben Diaz, which will shore them up again a little bit at the back. I think it's a good move for them. The thing that I love about City, and I shouldn't love anything about City because of, obviously, who they are and me being a United fan, but when they need something, they go and they try and get the best in class, let's say. Need a centre-back. Okay, who's the standout centre-back in Europe?
Yeah.
The boy Josko Vardiol. Get him. Job done.
Yeah.
We need a striker. Okay, who's the best striker in Europe? Erling Haaland. Go get him. Boom. Right? And, it's just so clinical.
But you know what it is as well? It's we need a striker. Let's go sign a goalkeeper. It's not like that. It's not stupidity. And it's like...
No.
And I mean...
Like, we could probably plot City's next 2 signings, right? Based on the squad, how it looks and what they need. And they always get square pegs for square holes. They keep things simple, but it works.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it, to think that you could lose Mahrez, Gundogan, and players like that, and still, like, how big was Gundogan for them last year? He was
awesome.
Sensational.
Awesome. Yeah. But listen, they managed to hang on to the boy Bernardo Silva, which is huge as well.
Well, so far.
So far, I think they will. I don't think anyone will get him out of there because Barca don't have the money to. They don't have the funds. And I think if Barca want to do something, they'll try and do it a little bit further back on the pitch. I think they need a centre-back to play next to the boy Aranjo. And I think that might be Aymeric Laporte, provided they can free up enough money on the books.
Yeah, absolutely. Acer's final Arsenal appearance was a 4-0 defeat against Liverpool and Anfield. Yeah. Good Lord. Let's talk about United. Didn't it? Yeah, let's talk about United. Talk to me about United.
Yeah, I'm a happy man so far, got to be honest. Redressing a lot of the issues we had. Lost the FA Cup final 2-1. I spoke to you after the final. I said we lost the final because David De Gea couldn't keep the ball to a player in a red jersey. There was a huge issue. Distribution was really, really poor. I love De Gea. I won't have a word said against him. Was terrific serving to the club. Always was absolutely nothing. Was fantastic. But I think this is the progression we need from De Gea, bringing Onana in, obviously trying to get the ball moving from the back like this. So it's a top signing. We've got him in for less than 45 million, which I think is a good deal. If I look at, similar goalkeepers, similar molds, an Alisson and an Ederson, we paid less than both of you guys paid for him. That's a win for me. Slightly older, but I'm happy enough with that. We've got Mount in to try and bring a little bit of energy and creativity into that midfield. I think Eriksen looks like the legs are starting to go ever so slightly. We'll obviously have the boy Højlund from the weekend. He's going to be our new number 9, figuratively, if not literally. Marcus is obviously going to play from the left-hand side, which he did very well last season. If things aren't going well for the boy Højlund, Rashford will go up front. Garnacho will come on the left. We've got Sancho. We've got probably a returning Mason Greenwood. We've got Bruno Fernandes. And we've probably got the boy Amrabat to come in as well. So
Yeah,
I am,
and your very own Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Martial.
and right, yeah, yeah. So I'm a happy camper at the minute. If listen, if I could get one bit of business done between now and the start of the season, only one. Now, obviously, we're taking into account Onana, Mount, and Hoyland are done, right? If I can get one more piece of business, I want Harry Maguire to leave, and whatever money we get for him, to just spend that money on a centre back. If we get 35 million for him and spend 35 on a centre back, we're in a better position. Doesn't matter who we sign. They can't be as bad as Maguire. And they can't be as affected, his confidence can't be affected as badly as Maguire's, and he's got to be able to do more things. You can spend 35 million now on a centre back and you can get some decent players in there. What did you guys pay him for Konate?
I'm thinking 37.
Right.
Something around that, I think.
If we mix at that sort of a level, we're in. And don't forget, we've already got Varane and Martinez ahead of him. You've Shaw, who can play at the left centre back, and you've Lindelof, who did a great job as understudy towards the end of the season. So whoever we bring in, more than likely, is only needed as a third or fourth choice.
Yeah.
Job done.
Yeah,
Thanks
so
very much.
It doesn't have to be stupid money.
Doesn't have to be. It just means Maguire doesn't see game time in a red jersey, and we don't have those anxious moments of, no, he's bringing Harry on.
You could actually even hold fire if you wanted and actually do a loan deal even for someone. If it's a fourth choice.
Get him out.
You know what I mean?
Get him out. Oh, no, I mean, sorry. Us on the way in? Absolutely.
Yeah. But
with an option.
Keep a few bob back maybe,
Yeah, 100%.
Keep a few bob in the coffers. I take Hendricks over Havertz. Yeah, absolutely. Man City will be champions 4 in a row. Potentially, they could be transitional. Who says? I mean, they transitioned out of it when they took Vincent Kompany out and they didn't replace him. And when they did the stuff for Fernandinho as well, they struggled a little bit. So let's say Gundogan is a huge player for them. Newcastle United will be second next season. Big shout out, Acers. We'll have a look at the table shortly.
Acers. I'll have any money with you. Any money. United finish ahead of Newcastle. Any money you want. Any money you want. Put it out there now.
Well, let's move on. We're going to talk about Newcastle now. Let's chat about Newcastle. Harvey Barnes in the door. Tonali in the door. Minte in the door. And then out. Marky won't be happy, our resident referee. Alan Sam Maximin out the door.
Well, it's like for like, isn't it, with Barnes?
Yeah.
The thing for the plus point here for Newcastle is Barnes is fit way more than St. Maximo was.
He's a better player as well.
I think he is all round. I think St. Maximo has that impact, and at times you look at him and he's unplayable. But I think there's too often I look at it and I look at the Newcastle team sheet and I think that guy's fucking injured again. Like it just doesn't stack up. So I think Barnes is a great trade. It's a great 1 in 1 out for Newcastle. Really, really good.
Yeah, he was described as Adama Traore without the Vaseline, basically, which isn't far off. And you think about the output, he looks really good. He looks really good and powerful on the ball and then just runs it out at the end line and there's no end product. Brian's in City have lost 2 serious big game players. Looks at the massive goals Gundogan scored last season. That's unfolding now. Kovacic is just a
metronome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, to some players you find it very difficult to replace unless you spend big money and you bring in set quality and stuff and all, So, I hate to say it, but Manchester City deserve it. Wouldn't go that far enough. Morrison got rid of De Gea at least. Great for United. Yeah. Dino's in. Big up, Dino. Can't bring myself to be excited about Liverpool this coming season. Too much to get right. Cover. Right back. Dino. Centre back.
Good to see you, pal.
Amrabat was the perfect replacement for Fab. Going to United, struggle for top 4. Yeah, I'm in the same boat, That's what I was talking about. Brian, sorry, off topic. Not sure if you were there at the time, no. But do you remember the crazy German guy that had the men's suit shop on the 3rd floor in the Green around 2001? Brian, I wasn't there 2001. I came in 2004. But I'll 100% take your word for it. Greenwood ain't coming back from Morris. I wouldn't be too sure about that. Apparently Adidas and all are all good with it. Do not be surprised.
Hold on. I just want to roll the tape back here. Can you play the VT there, Calais?
Yeah.
When this broke, what did Mystic Dazzler say?
You said he'd be back in the United shirt.
I did.
You did?
And guess what? He fucking will. And you know when, just like when we were all up in arms about the World Cup going to Qatar, yeah, and the
Then we had a very
awful,
enjoyable moment. Then
we had a
very
really enjoyable World Cup. Guess what's going to happen? Mason Greenwood's going to score goals at Man United, and guess what? All will be forgotten. That's a fact. And as the man says, you can take that to the bank.
Tottenham. Kulusevski's come in, James Maddison's come in, Vicario has come in, and Solomon has come in. And out, Harry Winks, Lucas Moura, and Tom Bloxham.
They've done all right, Spurs.
Staying, or is he leaving the building?
I think he stays.
I think he stays.
I don't think Bayern will stump up what they want. I think he stays for now. Obviously, he's an option then in January to go and talk to people, and maybe he hangs on and, you know, he signs for someone for free next summer.
Yeah, they know spot on. We had the last 5-6 years to build a monster. Said we fall way behind now. Yeah, absolutely. Looks like potentially what happens over the next 2 weeks, though. But it looks like we could be making numbers.
I think the board have let the manager and the fans down massively.
Yeah,
massively.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think. Look, I've come to the opinion now. I don't know what you think, but I've come to the opinion now where I don't separate FSG and Klopp anymore. I hold them equally as accountable.
I don't know. It's difficult because I would find myself in a similar position with Erik ten Hag and, you know, and the Glazers. There's only so much you can say as an employee of the club. You know, don't forget, these guys are paying your wages. So there's only so much they can say. Don't tell me Klopp doesn't want to spend more money. He absolutely does. He's not been given the money, but he also can't then go very heavy in on FSG because, again, that's where his bread is buttered, you know, and that's where the money comes from, and that's where the opportunity to manage one of the biggest clubs in the world comes from. So it's very hard to bite that hand that feeds you, you know, like that. And I think it's harsh looking at Klopp in that sort of a light. I believe he wants players. I believe he wants Liverpool to challenge on all fronts. Like, I don't believe there's much more of a passionate manager out there who tries to do the right thing for his club. But I feel like, you know, Klopp and the fans have been massively let down by the board. I think it's a different scenario at Old Trafford. I genuinely do. And I know some United fans say, well, why would you think that? Well, we've spent huge money. We pissed it away. Yeah. And we never had a coach of the caliber of Jurgen Klopp. You know, we didn't. We had a guy like Jose Mourinho who was going to win you a trophy and have you in a top four, but everything was going to have that glass ceiling on top because of the kind of football that Jose likes to play now and how, you know, archaic it is at this stage. There's only so much you can do with a low block, you know, and we've seen that from time to time with Roma as well. So I got to say, I think the United owners have done a much better job for the club than the Liverpool owners have, if I'm honest. So as a Liverpool, if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be way more pissed off than a United fan. Got to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's even with the success Liverpool have had over the last few years. Because I think Dean is right. I think with the manager you had and with some of the players you had, Alisson's, Van Dijk's, you know, Salah's, Firmino's, Mane's, the opportunity was there to build a huge legacy. And they didn't just give enough to the fans and to the manager to do that.
Yeah, interesting. I like Amrabat. Yeah, look at 20 million. I think it's 19 million or 20 million.
It's gonna be a bit closer to 30. I think it's 25 plus add-ons are talking. But even for 30 million, it's a steal.
Darren, you can bet until you fulfill ours. You can't bet until you fulfill ours. It's not.
We'll have to talk about that, and we have to talk about that on the side, Morris. We'll have to discuss that one.
Yeah, Barnes is good for 14, 15 goals in a good season. Yeah, absolutely. And
goals and goal involvements.
Yeah, his involvements are going to be key as well. Yeah, I'm really excited to see him linking up with Alexander. That's going to
and Callum Wilson, the fox in the box.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah, he must have gone. I used to work there. Yeah, absolutely. Dazzler, you actually said he would play in the US tour. Is that
he's talking
Greenwood?
about
Is it?
Greenwood. He's talking about Greenwood. I thought he might have played him in the tour. Never
Yeah.
know. Might get him in Ireland on Sunday. You.
Glazers want 8 billion now. Just ridiculous. I see. I have a different view on this. I don't think 8 billion is ridiculous because I see nothing but upside in a massive slant in football and teams at the moment with the contracts that are coming in, the broadcasting, all this other stuff. Just look at that deal they signed with Adidas there the other day and stuff like that and all. And if
Oh,
United get back to winning ways and they get back to where they really want to be, the ceiling is massive for them in terms of
it is, but I think when people speak about it being ridiculous or greedy, it's based on the fact what they paid. You know,
Darren just left the building there. He may come back. We'll see what happens anyway. Kenny's in. Spuds were crap with Kane. Without, they'll be relegation fodder. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're going to really, really struggle, aren't they? One thing I wanted to speak about was West Ham as well. West Ham really struggling to get people in the door at the moment. Really, really struggling. I just want to check something here because I have a bit of information on it. Yeah, West Ham really struggling to get people in the door at the moment. I heard Talksport the other day talking about Rory Jennings was talking about how David Moyes should have been fired after winning the European trophy and stuff like that. Absolutely crazy. But some serious players have gone out the door for them and they're struggling to get people in at the moment. So it could be a tough season for West Ham. Acers, Liverpool Europa League winners this season. I don't know about that either, Acers. I don't know. If you look at our pre-season, and I know you can't judge everything on pre-season, but you know what I mean. It's just I don't know. I don't know when you hear them talking about how they're going to be able to play the kids and stuff like that and all. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I hope it's in Dublin and all. Big up Kenny. And Brian's in. At least Spurs will play attacking football. Yeah, the reins will be off now with Conte gone. Ted's in. He won't be back for a while. Hasn't been. And here's Darren back.
apologies.
No bother. He won't be back for a while. Hasn't been in any preseason games, so won't be for a few weeks at least. I guess the big thing is she dropped off pressing charges. So in the eyes of the law, he's not guilty, and he's not guilty.
Yeah.
But you know, we know the score. There's no point in splitting hairs over that. Darren, I just spoke about West Ham there, really struggling to do business. We've listened to our friends on Talksport talking about how Moyes maybe should have been let go, and he was close to getting the hatchet ball, but he delivered that European trophy. So it's kind of unfair to kind of think of it that way as well. It was a huge thing for West Ham. What you're thinking on West Ham at the moment? Obviously, they've lost Declan Rice, who's going to be a huge loss for them. Make no mistake about it.
I think their biggest issue was they didn't make the signings before people understood they had money in their back pocket. I think if you go in, and we've seen Spurs do this a number of years ago when they were shipping Gareth Bale out to Real Madrid. They went and they bought Roberto Soldado. They bought, guys to come in at levels that they were happy with, knowing then that the money and the kickback was coming in from Gareth Bale. This was West Ham's biggest problem because West Ham now going to sit at any kind of a table with 105 million in their back pocket are going to they're going to be rung out for every penny they can. Southampton have tried to do it with the boy Ward-Prowse. Now, the one thing I will say about Ward-Prowse is I think 25 million for James Ward-Prowse is an absolute bargain, like a complete bargain, regardless of what length of contract he has. I think it's a phenomenal fee. Even if I'm going in at 30 million, this kid controls the tempo of a game. He tackles, he creates, he's got the best dead ball in the league. Why don't you throw 30 million at this kid and get somebody to back him up, somebody big, somebody physical, like a Scott McTominay, right? If you throw 30 million at Ward-Prowse, 35 million at Scott McTominay, you've 65 million on the two boys. They go into your centre midfield and you have 40 million then to get yourself a striker after the boy Skamaka leaves the building. It's a no-brainer, no?
Yeah, it is. The only thing is, I think Southampton are holding out for either 40 or 45 from. And then it probably becomes a different conversation, even though he's very talented. We know we're fans of him here as a dead ball guy and stuff like that. And also,
Listen, they turned down, Southampton turned down, I think it was 40 million last season from Aston Villa.
yeah,
And so they'll want something close to that. But if you can get him out for 30, moving to 35, something like that, it's a great deal, man. The kid's a
yeah,
footballer. He's proven it in this league time and time again. He gives you 5 to 6 goals a season from free kicks. He'll give you another 5 or 6 from penalties. If he scores a couple from open plays on 15th of the season, he creates, he tackles, he plays every single game. He's a leader, which replaces Rice. Like, lads, get out and get the fucking business done. You
Well,
know?
wait till I give you a laugh. You looked at our slide earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I said 2 months ago I'd have James Ward-Prowse all day, I was laughed at.
You'd absolutely take him.
100%. And
100%.
people were laughing at me. James Ward-Prowse. Morris
It would
is
be a
in
great
West Ham.
sign.
West Ham must be waiting on the 10 installments from Arsenal. Yeah, so West Ham. Just want to finish up then. Wolves.
Wolves are in trouble.
In trouble big time, I think. Yeah.
Wolves are in big trouble. Huge, huge. I'd rather get the bus to Conley than discuss him. Fucking useless swine.
Disaster.
He is one bar of Galaxy chocolate. If he was a fucking bar of chocolate, he'd eat himself, that tosser. I think Wolves are in huge difficulty. I think Lopetegui could be one of the first to leave the building here because he is not happy with the situation at Wolves. He was given assurances around spending, and it's not happening. The big plus for Wolves is they aren't selling or shipping loads out. He's let the boy Collins go, but that was of his own accord. He didn't necessarily want them, which we saw towards the end of the season. He was happier playing other lads. Someone came in and offered 25 million. He went, thanks very much, I'll take it. They've taken Doherty back as a right back option, which again for me is mental, absolutely mental. I don't rate the guy whatsoever. I've spoken about this. He could himself and Aaron Conley should find a bench together somewhere, like a buddy bench, and just sit in it. 2 absolute useless hams. But I suppose they've got the boy Sasa Kaladic, who they bought last year, paid 20 million for. Only played a game and did his crucial, so he's going to be on the way back pretty soon as well, I would think. And there's a couple of long-term injuries at Wolves. Plus, they're keeping the boy Nunez at the minute. Very difficult to replace Neves in the middle. I think if they don't spend money, they're going to be in trouble here.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking at who's gone. And when you look at who's gone, okay, Connor Cody, I think he was at loan at Everton last season.
Got good money from as well, by the way. 8 million?
7.5, yeah.
Yeah.
Nathan Collins is gone. Raul Jimenez is gone. Ruben Neves is gone.
Yeah.
Now listen to this, mate. Diego Costa's gone.
Yeah.
Joe Matinho was gone.
Yeah.
What was the other one I was saying? Keanu Hoover, ex-Liverpool guy, he's gone. Chiquino is gone. Tyler Roberts is gone. There's a lot gone there as well in a squad that isn't a huge squad either.
No, it's not.
I mean?
It's not. And there's a lot of work needs to be done to that Wolves squad. Lopetegui's a great manager. He'll do a great job, but he does need some backing. They've balanced the books quite well with obviously Neves and stuff like that. And Moutinho was on big wages there. Now, like Neves and Moutinho were 2 of the mainstays in that Wolves midfield over the last couple of years, doing a fantastic job for them. You got to replace both of them now. Now, for me, the boy Nunez plays week to week now. He plays every week, but they still need big money.
80 million for Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire. Darren
70.
would take your...
If you get me 35 million for each of the lads, I'll take your hands off. I'll put them on my back and I'll fucking carry them to London.
Yeah.
I'll carry them on all fours.
Yeah, absolutely. Southampton want 50 for James Ward-Prowse. They walked away at 25 is what I read. Yeah, they told them where to go on the 25. And I think the minimum they're looking for, is the deal something like 40 plus 10 or 45 plus 5 or something like that. And I don't know. Moyes wants him, of course he does. I'd say Moyes is crapping himself with just over a week to go. Absolutely crapping himself. Wolves are dodgy, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, Mark, how are we? We'll get into this one. Yeah, full comedy, sorry. 100%. Wolves are going down this season, I think, and they have some decent players that'll be snapped.
And that's from a man who tipped them for European football 2 seasons ago.
See that just right into the floating ribs there. That one went. That was a Jake Paul body shot special. Wolves versus Celtic last Saturday in the Viva was so boring football. Well, if you go and you attend it and you put yourself through it, then what do you expect? Big up poker. Who goes down with Wolves though? We're just about to talk about that. We'll finish off the show with that. At Dazzler, new lad just signed for United, 5-year contract.
Yeah, looking good. The boy Rasmus Højlund, very happy, I have to say. I know, listen, it's 64 million plus 8 if he hits his targets. If we're paying the 8, he's hit his targets and we've won something. So it's 72, money well spent. He's young, and he's a big physical kid, runs the channel quite well, links it up, and he can finish. I'm delighted, I have to say.
There you go. Well, I mean, once Kane got stupid, and once Victor Usman got stupid, and Vlahovic and stuff like that really hasn't had what they thought he was going to be since he went to Juve. And
yeah, it did. I was surprised, he didn't look at him, I have to say. I'm a big fan of the boy Vlahovic. Really big fan of his. I think the issue was much bigger at Juve than Vlahovic, if I'm honest. I think he'll thrive somewhere with some decent service.
Hopefully.
But I do think he would have been more to look for a lot of sides, especially the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea. I think that's where I'd be looking. If I was Arsenal, I think that's a no-brainer. I really do.
It may trigger him to do it now, especially with the Jesus news.
Maybe.
Maybe forcing him to do it. So we'll see.
The other option for somebody like and this wasn't mentioned a whole lot. The big option for a lot of teams was actually the Arsenal boy Florian Balogun. I thought at one stage we might have a look at this kid. Went obviously to Liga last season and had a phenomenal season in Liga. Was instrumental in a good finish there, and his goal return was fantastic, and his goal involvement. If he's going to get game time at Arsenal, I could see why you wouldn't sign a striker. But the vibe I'm getting is he's not going to sign the deal.
Don't think Arteta fancies him.
Yeah, and I don't think he wants to sign the deal, which means, Arteta's not happy for him to stay if he's not going to sign the deal, so they're going to try and get him out of the building or whatever. And Inter were kind of in the market for him, and the numbers got a bit high, and now they're looking at the boy Scamacca from West Ham for about 20-25 million or something. I think if the boy Balogun had been available for decent money, I think he's a great signing for somebody. I really do.
Yeah, I think when he came back in, it was about 30, wasn't it? And it suddenly shot to 50 out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can meet in the middle there at 40, the kid's a great signing. He's got a lot of great attributes. And I was a little surprised at one stage that maybe we didn't just have a little glance and say, Now listen, I don't think Arsenal deal with us, if I'm honest. You're not going to sell a kid that could turn out to be a very, very good footballer to the team that finished one space below you last season.
Yeah, I don't see them selling them to any of the top, say, 4 or 5. I'd say they don't want to sell him to a rival, because if he drops in there and he drops 15, 16, 17 goals into your lap, that's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. Mark's in Dazzler, with the signings we have made and some to come in, and then hopefully get rid of dead wood. My question is to you is, have you seen the Barbie movie?
I haven't, Marky. The day that the gang here went to see it, I was actually at the British Open. Yeah, so I was struggling.
Brian is going with Luton, Sheffield United and Wolves. Yeah.
I think Wolves and Sheffield United are in big trouble. They're my first two. Sheffield United just, basically cut their own wrists yesterday, getting rid of the boy Iliman and Doy. Now I know he wanted the move. He's a boyhood Marseille fan apparently, and he wanted to go and play for Marseille. and Sheffield United have got themselves 22 million, I think. But this kid's a really, really good footballer. Was involved in a lot of the good stuff at Sheffield United last year, and he's just walked out the building 2 weeks before the league kicks off, and they haven't really replaced him yet for me. They're going to struggle for goals, and I think Sheffield United are, along with Wolves, two of the teams that are really in trouble here for me.
Yeah, big up Dave's LFC chats. His tweets at the moment are fabulous. He
Hey,
gave me
Dave.
that Kloppenheimer one and stuff like that. No,
Pretty
really,
good. It was
really
cool.
Some real good stuff. And Kedia is in instead. Yeah, that's to have him in instead of Balogun is shocking. He's young, true. There will be offers coming his way. He's not going to turn down any big money that will be coming his way. Money talks, absolutely. Dave's in. I did see that Kloppenheimer, Dave. It's absolutely quality. Some of that stuff is coming out. Dave has some great stuff that he's posting at the moment on Twitter and stuff like that. Quality stuff. It keeps us entertained because the transfer window is an absolute shit show. So Luton are bottom, I reckon. Yeah.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so. Just on the basis that I think it's going to be so difficult to go to Kenilworth Road. I don't think anyone's going to like it there with small changing rooms, a shitty pitch, fans on top of you. You know, there's no undersoil heating. Don't forget, the pitch is going to get absolute dog shit come winter time. Really, really rough.
How are they going to get the team bus through that news agents as well?
Right, so this isn't going to be pleasant. This is the likes of going to Wimbledon and Selhurst Park. You know, that kind of a horror show.
Do you know the thing about it, though, is I'd still like to go there and watch a Prem game.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. But do I want to be an opposing player on the pitch? Absolutely not. And they'll pick up enough points that will mean come the end of the season, they're in the mix to stay in it for my money. Will they stay in it? I'm not sure. But they'll be in the mix. They won't be cut a cast like we've seen, Sunderland's or Norwich in the past. They'll be in it for a long while.
Could be an intriguing relegation battle for sure.
Yeah,
Luton will survive for me. Will be tight and they'll be scrapping until the end.
100%. Yeah, that's
physicality. Luton away stand is just ridiculous. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, absolutely. So here's the let's finish up with this. This is the Prem predictor, and this is what they've come up with for the table at the end of the season. Give me your thoughts. Interesting. Man City at the top is kind of. That's kind of not too many people are going to argue with that, to be honest. Give me your thoughts on it. Newcastle in second, Aston Villa in third, Arsenal in fourth, Chelsea in fifth, United in sixth. I think United, it depends on what way they predicted this. I don't know whether they took into account that Hoyland would be coming in and stuff like that. And maybe it was even done prior to Onana signing or something like that. There's no way United are going to be down in sixth, are they?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Listen, I only see us being on an upward curve. I think last season will be huge for us. It obviously settled a lot of nerves under Ten Hag and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of guys going in with a lot more confidence to start this season than they did at the start of last season. So I fully expect, and I will call it now, because I'm always willing to put my big mouth out there. I see United being the best of the rest this season.
Kenny, that table is exactly why we don't need AI.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Kenny. 100%. I see City winning the league, but I 100% see us being the best of the rest.
Acers reckons United third.
Told you, Acers, any money, I'll have any money with you that we finish ahead of Newcastle. Any money you want, you name it.
Ted doesn't believe there's any chance of Villa coming third.
I don't necessarily think that's a massive show, in the grand scheme of things when I look at it. They've obviously shored up at the back there a little bit with the boy Torres. The boy Kamara is obviously going to play a lot more this season, less the injury. They got Tillemans in there. They've got Diaby. They've possibly got Doku. I think
Emery with a full pre-season as well.
I think Villa could challenge for it.
Well, put it this way. I don't think Villa in third is any more of a stretch than Newcastle in second.
No, neither do I.
No.
Neither do
from
I.
that point of view.
Yeah, Ollie Watkins, Watkins' goals guaranteed.
Do you know what's sad for me
it's such a commodity right now.
If you remember the conversation we had yesterday going along in the car when I spoke to you about Liverpool.
Yeah.
I could see if Liverpool get off to a slow start and they don't get in the signings that they need,
Yeah,
that, what did I say to you yesterday? We could potentially pie off the league and focus on the Europa League. So
you did say that.
that 7 to me is not a stretch at the moment. Looking at where we're at, I'm really concerned about Liverpool at the moment. Villa 5th. Yeah, not a bad shout. I think Villa be like, and I think we're getting the 5 places, aren't we, because of the coefficient and stuff like that. It's looking that way anyway. So for the Champions League, Villa to finish very high. Yeah, absolutely. I really like Emery and stuff like that. And I think after getting in there and getting that time under his belt and stuff like that, few players going out, few players coming in and stuff like that, they've got some really, really good players there. People forget that, you know.
I think this kid Diaby, I probably shouldn't say this because it'll harm my own chances, but I think this kid Diaby is an absolute must in fantasy football. He plays in midfield, which means he's 5 points for a goal, and he's 3 for an assist. And I think, you know, at 6.5 million, he is value for money. Really, really is. I think if you're playing fancy football and you don't have Diaby as part of your midfield 5, you know, or in and about it, you're doing something wrong.
Great point from Brian there as well. He played with Bailey at Leverkusen and had one of their best seasons playing together. Interesting.
Yeah, and so you can have Bailey on the left and Diaby on the right and Watkins through the middle, and you know.
Yeah, Henry. When I say that, what I'm thinking is, I think, you know, if we don't do what we need to do at a certain level and stuff like that, and we need to bring in at least another 3 players, not 1. And I think if we fall short of that, I think we're really going to struggle, and I think we could get detached very quickly. We also have 6, maybe 7 pretty tough games to kick off the season as well. I think we're away at the Bridge in the first 6 or 7 games. Are we away at the Bridge and away at St. James's at least in 2 of them? That's a tough start, like, you know what I mean, for a team that hasn't done what it should have done early enough in the transfer window.
You'll be all right in Newcastle. He's always get a win there, aren't you?
I don't know. We should do, but look, if you look at what they're doing and look at what we're doing, it's poles apart, isn't it?
It's true.
I'll be 42 next month. Big up, you know. Diaby is a baller. He is
Absolutely
6'5" midfielder. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's a bargain.
Brian, he is in my team after game week 2 or 3. Yeah. Ted, taking fantasy football, lads, and Buemo is the steal to go for at 6.5 as a midfielder. Yeah, the only thing about Buemo, yeah,
he's good value. The issue is if he doesn't pour without Tony, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and that was the big thing, wasn't it?
Yep, 100%.
Because a lot of people think of Tony and they think of his goals and his penalties and all that kind of thing, but they forget a lot of
play is phenomenal.
Yeah,
and the way he's able to hold it, attract defenders, and then put balls into areas to get the likes of Visa and Mbeumo to be, you know, to get in behind and stuff like that. So yeah, it's be tough.
Absolutely. Henry spot on there as well about our pre-season and stuff like that. I've had huge commentary on that as well about, I said it to you, Darren, how even poor some of the opposition was and stuff like that. And we made them look really good at times. That ball over the top now is really putting the fear in me. What do you think of the bottom 3? Burnley, Nottingham Forest and Luton. Definitely not Burnley.
I wouldn't say definitely not Burnley. Like, he'll try and do things the right way, but you know, if you don't have the quality, it can be tough. I definitely think Wolves are in difficulty, and I think Sheffield United are in difficulty for me. And then I wouldn't be surprised if the other spot was fought out between Burnley and Luton.
That's a big shout there from Brian. First 4, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Newcastle and Villa.
First 4 in the league?
No, that can't be. What am I? Oh, sorry, the first 4 were playing. Sorry, yeah. Chelsea away, Bournemouth at home, Newcastle away and Villa. Yeah, is our first.
I was like, he's Bournemouth to finish.
Yeah, I thought it was the first 4. I was thinking the first 4. Yeah, I was there going, yeah. That was my mistake. No, they're the first 4 were playing, yeah. But that's first 3 games, Chelsea away and Newcastle away. And then Aston Villa. And here, listen, we didn't pull up any grass playing Bournemouth last season either.
No.
Liverpool new stand won't be open until the Everton game in October. Yeah, that's
is Acers being very evasive with the bet?
Yeah, he is. He's ignoring the fact that you put it out there, but that's
Is
not
he?
actually
Okay.
correct. Acers, they actually confirmed that the stand is going to be open in September. So that was just put out there. It was
Provided
not
no one
demonstrated.
nicks any of the steel.
It's all in place now, so you want to be pretty good unless you're doing some of that. What's
You know
that?
what
Going
them
down the wall.
scousers are like.
Yeah, absolutely. My predictions have been the best every season, lads. There you go,
I'd
Ted.
argue with that, Ted. I'd
We'll,
argue with
we'll,
that.
we'll know next week when we do our prediction show. Liverpool win the Europa League, hopefully, absolutely. Henry, is the Villa home or away? It's home, as far as I know. I think it's home because we're away to Newcastle. Although I don't know what's happened there. That Bournemouth game was supposed to be at home, and as far as I know, that's pushed out and it's away now, and because of the stand. As far as I know, everyone chuckled at me saying Wolves top 6 that season, and you all picked teams miles behind me. There you go, Ted coming out. He's not here. He's not hanging around here now. What a top four
We
that would
might
be.
need to dig that up again.
Yeah, absolutely. Henry don't know, and home. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I knew it was home. So there you go. Well, that's it, folks. Another show. Thank you very much, as I said earlier, for pushing us over that 1,000 subscribers and stuff like that. We're going to be bringing you some fabulous shows over this season. It's going to be absolutely helter-skelter, and I will not be pulling any punches when it comes
I
to
was in work
Liverpool.
today.
That's for sure.
I was in work today, and I was talking to the girl who works for me, and I said, big shout out to Holly. And I said, Ted should know I don't do apologies. You're mad. That's fucking Jesus, Ted.
We just edit the videos. If you get it wrong, we just edit them. Never happened.
And I was just like, you know what? I'm just buzzing for August 14th, which is United's first home league game. The Monday Night Football against Wolves. I am just living for it. I really am. Obviously, be in the Aviva this Sunday for the game with Bilbao. So looking forward to that. Not really sure what kind of a team we're going to see, because we've obviously got a game in Manchester against Lens on Saturday, and then we've got the game against Bilbao on Sunday in the Aviva. 2 games in 2 days.
You know, we did that last season, and what happened?
Yeah, not a great idea, I don't think, myself, but he wanted to get game time for a lot of lads, so we shall see what happens. I hope, just for my son's sake, that we get to see Andre Onana, because if we don't, he'll be very, very upset. You know.
Absolutely. Daz, when's the next wrestling show, Niall? On Tuesday, I'll be doing my review of Dark Side of the Ring, Bash at the Beach 2000. And I'm sure on Monday we'll be doing a show reviewing SummerSlam and all the fallout from that. Should be interesting as well. It's going to be a great weekend. SummerSlam, Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. Some great stuff going on at the moment.
Is that on this weekend as well, yeah?
That's on this weekend as well. Europa League final, Brian, in Dublin next season as well. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I mentioned that, Darren, because last year we did the Community Shield, and then we played Strasbourg on the Sunday, and that's when we lost Konate. Yeah, so it's horrible. Liverpool are playing on Monday night in Anfield. It's not that Damsel game is in Deepdale. It's in Preston. It's not at Anfield. Anfield isn't open at the moment. Just let you know, Acers. I'll be in the Aviva for the game. I reckon we'll see a strong team for 45 minutes.
Don't
Interesting.
know.
I'm not. There you go, Brian. Same Acers. It's in Deepdale and Preston. Yeah, absolutely spot on.
Yeah, I'm not overly sure on that, Ted. I'd love to think it, but I think obviously with the game in Manchester on Saturday, how many do you want to then send out for the game on Sunday? I think Saturday's team will tell us an awful lot about Sunday's team. You know, and stuff like that.
Have to get yourself and Ted together on Sunday. Send me a little match report, little video outside the Aviva.
Never know.
Send me a little match report. You know,
I have to bring the kids with me. Can't wait.
It's just Community Shield and United game on the same time on Sunday. Yeah, it's only one winner there. WCW Bash at the Beach 2000 was just an abortion of a pay-per-view.
Jesus.
It's harsh, wasn't it? At least it's not in Darndale, lads. Deepdale.
Jesus.
Ted not hanging in.
Well, be careful there, Ted. A few boys in Darndale listen to this podcast.
Yeah, great. Careful, Ted now. Careful. You did give out your town earlier,
Yeah, yeah.
Arklow.
Jesus,
I'll find you. I'll find
that
you.
was fucking. I
Well,
know two. I know two listeners to this podcast who live in Darndale. Two
well, it didn't come from us.
didn't.
Who's this Ted lad?
Yeah.
Well, listen, a pleasure as always. As I said, next week, Thursday, we'll be back with Thursday Tier Talk. We'll be doing a preview for the kick-off of the Premier League. We'll drop our predictions then, and then we'll have to hold our fire on them. And we'll bring back Beat the Bookie as well, as we always do.
You sure will.
Jeff Jarrett laying down. Coolock Frasers. Jeff Jarrett laying down. I don't know, did you see Jarrett taking out Grado on TalkSport the other day?
Yeah, I'm glad somebody took him out. Fucking clown.
I have to say, you know, I actually liked Grado back when he was doing ICW and stuff like that. I loved that Goldberg entrance into the Madonna song and all. It was pretty cool. I've been in there before, and the pitch is in tatters.
Usually has marks around the middle of it. From the donuts the lad pulls in the rob cars. It's generally what goes on.
Ted tripping over the joyriding spikes.
Yep.
Well, listen, folks, until next time, absolute pleasure. Again, thank you very much for supporting the channel over the last 2 years, up over the 1,000 subscribers now. So we push on and we change the goal. Appreciate all you people in the chat as always. Absolute pleasure.
Do we need to change our contracts now as well? Because we've got to like the 1,000 now, right? How's that work?
I don't know. I'll have to check it. I'll have to check the watch hours first as well, because that affects it as well. So yeah. We'll have to. We might have to have a signing. Do I have to have you there holding the jersey, the upper tier T-shirt?
Will the fees be have add-ons?
I'll gladly share that 30 cent with you every month. Don't worry.
Oh, fun times.
Until next time, folks. Absolute pleasure. Talk to you again real soon. Cheers.